Good evening. Good evening. It is Thursday, November the 11th, 2021. Again, we are so excited to be in the land of the living. Again, we are having a good show tonight. Welcome to Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine. I am your host, Sunshine, aka Camila. Again, we are live on Facebook, my Facebook page, Sunshine Camila, Kamela. We are live on Spotify. We are live on the YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, please do so. It is the name of the show. I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're one person away, one advice away from where you need to be in your destiny. Again, I welcome my guest. She's already here waiting on me to stop talking. However, I'm excited to actually get to have this conversation with her because I always tell you, as always, it's 6 degrees of separation. So, how do I know this wonderful, beautiful lady? I know her 6 degrees of separation through her husband. So, her husband, fellow Osborne Knight, matter of fact, he played football with my brother. And I seen him, of course, in passing, being in the gym, an athlete as well. And he was such a sweetheart. He was so cool. And another friend of ours told me he has experienced you in person, was like, this lady right here got range out of this world. I have never seen, never heard anybody as this woman. You need to get her on the show. So tonight, I have Kisma. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Kisma Jordan Hunter here. And we're so excited to have you here. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
I am elated when I saw your picture. I was like, I really wanted to put on a flyer when beauty matches the voice or the voice matches the beauty. Because sometimes, they don't go together all the time. I'm just saying. They got something, and you be like, but honey, you got the whole package. That's why I put on the flyer. She is
Thank
the
you.
whole
Thank you.
package. So how you doing? I did enough talking.
Um, I'm okay. I'm actually getting over a little something. And so, but I was able to work it out because I was like, no, we're gonna keep this interview on Thursday. Other than that, I'm a mom, so moms never sleep. So I'm tired. Oh, that just comes with the territory, but I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain. I had a long day today. I had to
I
take me a quick nap
uh,
um, on my lunch hour. But
listen.
outside of that, I can't complain.
You gotta
So
get it
let's
in when you
get
can
into
get it
this
in.
conversation. I'm so excited. So, when did you know, or should I go back to this? When did you start into music?
My earliest memories of music, in terms of like performing, are like 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
In school, singing with chorus in school. But there are pictures that I've seen as early as like 83. And that would make me like 3 years old or almost 3 years old of like, like with, I think this is like a glow stick or something turned upside down, using it as a microphone. So I would say it was pretty early on, and it was pretty consistent throughout. Even though I did other things, I did dance and ballet, and I played sports and wrestled and all kinds of. My mom had me and stuff all the time, but music was consistent throughout my childhood, adolescence, and um, as a young adult, turning into someone who said, maybe I might do this for a living. I don't know, but we'll just see. So, yeah, so my whole life, basically.
Wow. So were your parents into music, or this was just a God gifted you with this voice?
Well, my mom is definitely a creative. Um, if there was a place or a source, I would, attribute it to her because she does all things creative. I mean, I've kind of blossomed into that now myself as an adult. But from music to art to anything in terms of imagining and creating something, she was the example for me. So she was the one who was putting me in music. She was the one putting me in choir, entering me into talent shows, and she gave me my first, like music books, because she took piano. She gave me piano books and theory books, music fundamentals. Those type of books were like on our bookshelf.
Okay.
And so, she was like, you should look at this and you should look at that. I had no idea, that it was essentially music theory and fundamentals. It was just her kind of planting the seeds early on. So, but she doesn't really sing though. That's the thing. She
Wow.
can sing. I remember my mom singing in church. My mom was in the military. Happy Veterans Day. She was in the Air Force for almost 10 years. And so I was with her. And so we would live on base and we would go to church and she would sing in the church choir. So I remember her doing that. So my mom can sing. She just doesn't sing. Um, but yeah, I mean, between the music we listen to, it was always something music or art based in our home. And I was an only child for a very long time. So, yeah, so it was just me. So we were always doing something artistic in some shape, form, or fashion.
So your outside of, her grooming you, as we gonna say,
Yep.
grooming you, were you not classical? What do you actually say? Is it opera or
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of and I always get this question because in the conventional form, in terms of like how the American school system is um, um, laid out, when you go to college and you want to major in music,
Mhm.
um, in terms of like performance, there are two things. You could do vocal performance or you could do instrumental. So you're either going to play an instrument or you're going to use your voice. And then within that, you have performance or education. So you're going to get a performance degree, which means you're going into a track of more performance, or you can get an education degree where you will teach music. Most people
Okay.
who do that can also perform, but they are opting to get certified as a teacher of music. And music certification is a K through 12, whereas other subjects, like history, it's either, a middle school or what they call secondary is high school. But the arts is a K through 12. So, but it's broken down into kind of like two groups. It's either going to be musical theater or it's going to be opera. Some people have, or some schools have, like an art song, which is more of a recitalist type of
Okay.
program that's geared towards art song, as opposed to, opera theater is a bigger art form where, you're singing with an orchestra the majority of the time and you're learning how to facilitate your voice in that way. Some people just don't have a big enough voice to do that.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a classical technique, but usually in the beginning, everyone undergoes the same technique.
Technique.
As
Okay.
you get older and you venture out into whatever field you're going to go to, is when you start to tailor the technique for the music you're going to be singing. So musical theater, some of the technique they use is completely different from opera because they're mic'd when they sing most of the
Okay.
time. They have mics maybe here in the wig.
So we're gonna say that more so is like when we go to sit down and do plays. And
Yep.
okay, they're doing those type of singing.
More theater, more theatrical because they have microphones.
Okay.
Opera, for the most part, in its traditional form, is not an amplified art form. So when you see an opera, those singers, they're not mic'd. They are just using the technique they have to facilitate the voice without amplification. We are the amplification. In some situations, they may mic the stage. So
Okay.
yeah, they may put a mic, stage left, stage right in the center. And so it's an area that's hotter than other areas. But for the most part, it's just you and the Lord, as I say.
So how did you know, or did someone, a professor or a teacher say, look, you have a unique voice,
Right.
and I think you should go this way?
Right, right. Yeah, a teacher did do that.
Okay.
So my mom got out of the Air Force, like, I think I was like almost 10, or to the summer I turned 10. We moved back to Detroit, which was a whole lot in itself because up to that point, I had been in and out of a lot of elementary schools because I was going between, my mom was stationed in Texas for a minute, then we got stationed up north, uh, and not in the upper peninsula, but at the top of the lower peninsula in a really small town, predominantly white. So I was going to school with like all white kids. Like I remember having one black teacher. She was my third grade teacher, Mrs. Spencer. See how bad I remember her? See, that doesn't make no sense. And but she was gorgeous. She was chocolate. So I just didn't have enough experiences. The only experience I was getting that was about me and my people was church. Our
Okay.
church was predominantly black. Our pastor was black. I was friends with his daughter because we were the same age. They didn't live that far from us. So, but the school system was predominantly white. I was always the only black kid in my class. So we moved to Detroit. I start the fifth grade and I'm in an all black school. There's no white people. And everyone's like, you talk like a white girl. You think you're better than us. And I was like, oh my God. Can we please be over elementary school already?
Right.
So that next year, my mom sent me to Whitney Young Middle School, which wasn't that far from where we were living. And they had a glee club. And so she was like, I'll put you in the glee club. So I sang in the glee club, sixth, seventh, and eighth grade. And, it was just a thing. So then I wanted to go to King High School. That wasn't that far from Whitney Young. And they had a madrigals group. So my mom made my schedule for ninth grade. I was like, what's madrigal? She was like, you'll find out when you get there. And I was like, okay. So I go there and it's more of an advanced ensemble. Madrigals group is a smaller ensemble of singers. They're singing a cappellas, like maybe 8 to 12, but it's for advanced singers. So a majority in there, students in there were like juniors and seniors. So the teacher there at the time, Miss Alice Lloyd, was like, I'll put you in concert choir. So come to choir was fifth hour. So I came to concert choir, was in concert choir. It was really intimidating, because I'm a freshman and, it's like 55 people in the class. So Miss Lloyd had a way of checking us in terms of whether or not we knew our music. She would do quartets. She would tell us the quartets were coming, but she would make us come down and sit and stand in front of the choir in a group of 4 and sing, and you just had to hold your own. So we were doing quartets for something. I don't remember what, but after a choir rehearsal, this was kind of like towards the end of the year, she was like, I think you should be taking voice lessons. And I was like, okay, all right, I don't know. She was like, yes, here's the name of the teacher. And so it turns out Ms. Lloyd was a preacher's wife and a minister of music. She had studied concert pianist. She was going to be a pianist.
Okay.
And went into choir or chorale conducting. And so she did a lot of music at her church. And so the teacher she sent me to was a member of her church who also happened to teach at Eastern Michigan. I knew none of this at the time, none of it. I just knew she gave me the name of a teacher. And so I would go out to her home in Southfield and I would have voice with her once a week for an hour. And I did that all throughout high school. And so, yeah, I was like, okay, I did that. So funny is my grandmother would take me and they were paying for it. And, she was like, when are these voice lessons going to start paying off? I remember her saying that. And I wasn't doing anything extra in terms of, I was just singing in choir at school. I was taking voice lessons. We would do like state solo ensemble, but I wasn't, doing extra talent shows outside of school. I was singing church a little bit. And that was really it. So when it was close to graduation, naturally, I was thinking whether or not I was going to go to college. And the choir director from Kentucky State University, Dr. Carl Smith, there was a large alum base from K-State in Detroit. And so when that happened, I think my sophomore year, they came to King with the choir and, did a whole, show. And he also held auditions when they were busy schools. He would hold auditions. So I auditioned for him as a sophomore. And he was like, if you want to come to K-State, I will get you a music scholarship to come. And I was like, okay. So I didn't really think about going anywhere else because I loved the choir. The choir was amazing. I was like, that's all I wanted to do, sing. And it was a historically Black college. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to K-State. So I call him back. I'm graduating. He's like, come on, here's the money. So I got an academic scholarship, music scholarship, went down there, I was going to sing in the choir. Didn't have any idea about anything else I was going to do, which is the whole purpose. But I just knew I wanted to go sing, and that's what I was going to do until something else happened. So when I got there, he was like, when you're in the choir, you have to take some form of voice, some sort of individual voice training. You're either going to be in a voice class with like 4 other people, or you're going to be in a private lesson, which is like applied voice. He's like, you've been taking applied voice already in high school. I can't imagine you going backwards. Mm-hmm. So I think you should keep taking voice. So I was like, okay. But in taking the class, it also obligated me for everything that came with the class. So, so I was taking a voice lesson like I had been doing all through high school, once a week for an hour. But then I had to sing on ensemble, what was it called? A seminar class. And they would happen, I guess, quarterly. And you would have to perform on the seminar class. And then at the end of the year, you would have to perform what they call a vocal jury, which is kind of the equivalent of a final exam for a performance major. Okay. Where you get up in front of the panel or the faculty of the voice department or the music department, and you sing usually 2 to 3 songs. You can, let them know all the songs you learned for the semester. You pick the first one, they may pick 1 or 2, and then, that's it. So I had to do that. So, but I was around music majors because the majority of the people who were taking voice were music majors. I was not a music major at that time. I was just in the choir. At least that's what I thought. Right. So everyone was like, I don't understand. Why aren't you a music major? Because I was like, everyone kept saying I was a music major. I was like, I'm not a music major. I'm not. Stop saying that. All the music majors, Kisma, you need to be in the music major. Like, I am not a music major. And they were like, why not? You really are good enough. You should be a music major. And so that just kept coming back around over and over. So there was a big opera they were doing that my second year, the Barber of Seville. My teacher was like, because I was young, the opera director, he was like, why don't you cover this? I went to my teacher. She was like, yeah, do it. And I was like, okay. So here I am singing opera. Not that I haven't sung before, you get arias that you have to sing as part of the requirement. You need to sing an aria for your audition to get into school. But I wasn't trying to sing opera. I just wasn't. And so what ended up happening was the lead, she got into a situation and I had to do the role. Wow. And I was terrified because I didn't really want to do it, but it was just one of those things like, that's why we have covers. Next. So here I am, just kind of got thrown into the pot. And you know, what I learned about myself in that situation was that I just performed good under pressure. I didn't allow it to compromise the assignment.
Right.
And so that is when things changed because people started seeing me differently because here I have done this role and I did it well. And everyone's like, Kisma might be able to go on and do da 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 da. And I was like, wasn't even thinking about that. So after a lot of convincing from my teachers and Dr. Smith, he was like, you really should think about being a music major and going on to grad school and pursue performance seriously. And so I was like, so I switched to music in my junior year. It put me way behind because with music, you know, your core classes start the first year.
First year.
Some majors, they start maybe your third or fourth year. With music, you have to come in taking major courses or you're going to be behind. So I was like so behind. So I ultimately graduated in 6 years, you know, just begging the teachers to kind of give me like extra time here or, you know, independent study here. And that's how I ended up getting a music degree in performance and shifting my mind to say, yeah, I think you should do music professionally because you just have a voice that just lends itself to singing opera.
Right. So here we go. We're gonna get okay. The show says let's keep it real, right? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
So most people of our color
Mm-hmm.
don't sing opera.
No.
So I was like, she do what? She
Right.
sing opera. Let me wait.
Right.
Okay. So with all that being said, I'm sure you get this a lot.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately though, you know, because the truth is there are a lot of Black opera singers. There are. I mean, there were a lot of Black opera singers before me. You know, I mean, they're in the golden era of what they call the golden era of opera. And these people are along with like some of the most famous crossover opera singers, you know, probably the biggest one being Pavarotti.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. People know him as the person Aretha Franklin stood in for him,
Yes,
saying
right.
Nessun Dorma. He was supposed to sing it. You know, he is a very
Was he
famous
also part
Italian.
of the three tenors?
He was. He
Okay.
was one of the three tenors. Um, and but in that same era, I mean, there are Black opera singers who performed with him. You're talking about your Kathleen Battle, Grace Bumbry, Shirley Barrett. Shirley Barrett used to teach at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, in their School of Music before she passed away. George Shirley, who is still there, is the first Black tenor to sing at the Metropolitan Opera in New York. Tons of Black opera singers. We're everywhere. Jesse Norman. I mean, like, there are Black opera singers. The issue is, unfortunately, we don't get the light.
Okay.
We don't get the light. You know, you get the light for being first. That's why we know about those. So I just mentioned because they were great, they were standouts, and they were first. But I mean, even right now, I mean, it's a kind of a renaissance when it comes to the opportunities for Black opera singers because you have, you know, your first Black composed opera debuting at the Met, Fire Shut Up in My Bones by Terence Blanchard. You know, it was at St. Louis Opera. That's an all Black cast. Tons of Black opera singers from the lead to the chorus. So we're here, but usually our communities are receptive to what they're exposed to.
Yeah, yeah. And I was
They
about to
stick
say
to
that.
what they know. And what they know is commercial pop, R&B, hip hop. That's what they know. And they don't know opera unless somebody at home is doing it. Somebody at home is playing it. And that's usually not the case. So that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to create the Opera Soul experience because it was a twofold. It was to give us greater opportunity and platform as Black opera singers to get in front of our communities and to also show the versatility that a lot of us have because our beginnings were in church. So, a lot of people, Black singers who are on the stage singing opera, they can go to church and shout the house down just as great as the Clark sisters or the Winans. They can do that. They just happen to also have a voice that lends itself to opera. But in the scope of things, if we don't create that the bridge between the two, it will keep, the cycle will repeat itself,
Cycling.
which is,
Yeah.
Black and brown communities don't get a chance to hear and see opera. And so I was like, they may not want to sit up in a boring opera in a theater. How about we just make it a bit more interesting, exciting, and fun? So we might need to try to combine the two, meet them where they are, which
I
is
think
take
the
the
only
pop.
one that I've ever seen, if I'm not mistaken, probably was the Phantom of the Opera. That might be
And
the
that's a
only one
musical.
that
That's a
right.
musical
So,
theater. That's not even opera.
well, that would be a
Yeah,
zero
that's a
then.
musical. That's essentially a musical theater, And I mean, in Detroit, we just happen to have an opera house where Michigan Opera Theater has a season. A lot of cities don't have an opera and an orchestra. They don't have both. They have one or the other. But even just recently at Michigan Opera when they did Blue, it was a Black themed opera. It was talking about you know a Black man who is a police officer, but he's also a father. And balancing those two worlds in a time where Black communities aren't feeling policed because they feel like they police the communities. They don't necessarily care about us. You have this issue with police brutality, and so, but yeah, you got Black opera singers singing that. So, but how many people are going? It's just I think it's a cultural thing, you know, and we just have to find a way to fuse something in it so that our communities know that there's something to gain in experiencing it. Like it's not like what you think it is. And a lot of people are really exposed to opera more so than they think. Like operas and commercials all the time. They're playing operatic music in the background all the time. Carmen, all of that, the Carmen Jones with Beyonce back in the day on the MTV. They playing Carmen all the time. Porgy and Bess is an all Black opera. Mozart, like they're listening to it all the time. They just don't know they're listening to it.
Wow. Well, you definitely taught me something because I'm thinking, Phantom of the Opera. Yeah, I've been to one. Like, no, that was a musical. Wow.
And actually, what's really gonna be good is Michigan Opera Theater is commissioning. Well, I don't think this is a commission, but they are for their spring season, 2022. They're having Malcolm X opera. It's an opera on Malcolm X,
Wow.
and really exciting just because the subject matter alone.
Yeah.
But I was just like, you know, our community needs to know about that opera, so we go see it. Because that's something like we know about
Know
Malcolm X.
about, yeah.
We know who that is. That could be, a selling point to get us in there just to see how someone interpreted, what his life and times. That's part of what it's about. So yeah, but I always get that. How did you start singing opera? I don't know that many opera singers, and they only know a handful of opera singers, and they're old. They're not really singing as much as they used to sing. But
Right.
there's a whole new generation of opera singers that are Black singing.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't
I'm
know.
friends with a lot of them, so that's how I know. But I'm in the community, so it's like when you're in it, you know what's happening, who's singing what, where. So yeah, but we're there. We exist.
Wow. Yeah, I would, like I said, I was excited because I don't know. And the sad part is you're here. Like
Right.
I could literally come find you and touch you. Like
Right.
you're here. And so I thought it was very important for me because of what I do, because of what my show stands for, is connecting people, is to get, whatever you do to be recognized in this community, in this audience. So now that people can put a face to a Black opera singer, beautiful Black opera singer with Kisma, now your name can be, going out further because now somebody actually understands. They hear your story and they're like, okay, now that I hear this, now I have to take a part in advancing this to actually tell someone else. Even when I'm at work, I'm excited, like, oh, you got to watch the show tonight. I don't know what she gonna talk about, but we definitely gonna listen and get excited again to really understand that you guys are out here. I had no clue, no idea, because that's not something I run to.
Right, right.
Is, R&B, is gospel, is some other people just recently said country music. I've never heard anyone say, well, let me sit down and listen to some opera. I've never heard it.
Mm.
Never
And then
heard
we
it.
have like a classical music station, 90.9 WDT. Um, no, that's right. Yeah, that's right. And a lot of cities don't have a classical music station. They play jazz at night, but they play classical music during the day. So you can get, symphonies, orchestras, they play opera too. And sometimes they have live broadcasts on Saturdays. Usually they're broadcasting from the Met. Um, but yeah, I mean, opera is so much. I mean, it's not for everybody. And the thing is this, you just have to find what works for you. There is something in opera for everybody. You just have to find out what works. I always tell people like your first operatic experience is going to make or break whether or not you stay here and continue to bloom in this new art form, because you could get spoiled, or you can get completely turned off because you didn't enjoy it. So I was just like, do a little research, find out. But usually, most opera houses or companies have a canon of operas that they draw from, and they'll do, you know, um, they're classics. They're all everybody has some Puccini in their repertoire every season. Carmen is a classic. It's been Carmen has been everything. Carmen Jones with Dorothy Dandridge. They used to be a movie, and then they made a hip opera with the Beyonce and who was that? I think it was Mackay Pfeiffer
Mm-hmm.
or MTV, and then it's been a musical, um, and it's been an opera. I mean, it's been everything, but it's great music. The storyline's great, the music's great. Um, you just have to find. You have early opera, Baroque opera, which sounds completely different than, a fire shot up in my bones. I heard an excerpt of Tyrion Blanchard's one of the arias, and it's basically like a mix between, it's like a jazz gospel concert. That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that's amazing. That's what stuff people will come and hear, because that's what we know.
Yeah.
And then the storyline is based on a real life, it's based on a novel that's based on a real life situation. So it's not necessarily made up. But you just have to find out, what you like, the type of music that appeals to your ear, and then, just go to all those operas.
So do you think a lot of this is based off of the range? Like, what is it that people might not like about opera? Is it,
It could be the harmonies. It could be the Baroque operas, early opera. So when you're talking about when it was composed, musical techniques were still being formed. So this is music from like 1600s, 1700s. 20th century music, which is essentially music for the 1900s, sounds completely different. You got a whole new class of composers who have evolved music and the sound. So they're doing things with harmony in 1932 that they weren't doing in 1632. So, it just didn't even exist. So that's a part of it, just understanding, the harmonies and that definitely, because music is so emotional, it definitely drives the feeling, so some of it's just really straight toned, it doesn't have a lot of, maybe not a lot of warmth and vibration to it, and that affects how people feel, and so it could be that some people absolutely love that, though. They love a straight tone, they love, just the triad as opposed to a ninth chord. I mean, they love that. So it's just about knowing what you like and finding that.
Now I remember there's a couple of movies that I like that had little snippets of opera in it, like one of my favorites, um Pretty Woman.
Mm-hmm.
And
When she was I think that was La Traviata.
okay. And there was a Bette Midler movie. They were talking about, I can't even, and I should know this. Um, they were best friends that were and the best friend
Oh,
ended up dying. What is the
yes, I remember what you're talking about because they did a remake of it with Nia Long.
yes.
I
What
can't remember. Beaches. That's the name of it.
Peaches. There we go. One of
I'm a
my
movie buff.
favorites.
Yeah.
And in the movie, of
Yes.
course, there's a
I can't
opera
remember
scene.
the scene. I don't remember. I've never seen Beaches from the beginning to the end, not the end movie in
What?
its entirety. I've only seen pieces. Like whenever it came on, I always caught it like at the same time.
What?
Each time. I think I saw like the beginning. I've seen the beginning, and then I've seen like from after halfway to the end. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to go back and look and see what opera it was.
Yes. If there's a
Um.
I want to say it might be the part where they design the new bras,
Okay.
but you have
Mm.
to
I'm
listen.
gonna go back and see it, and then I'll text it
Yes.
to you. Like this is the
Beaches
name of
is
that opera.
one of my maybe the second movie that I've ever cried on as a kid, as a teenager, was Beaches and Color
Okay.
Purple, but that don't count. However, I'm definitely excited about this conversation now that we are talking about this, and maybe down in the near future on a bigger scale where um either we bring in athletes. I don't know what the turning point is going to be to get the right person, the right people to advertise it, to say, hey, opera's cool, you know, come on in, and
Right.
you enjoy yourself. Even some of the snippets that was baffling to me, where like you were talking about the emotion part of the music, you can actually understand it by how they're acting as well as transcending languages, right?
Yeah. So usually
So,
when you go to an opera, they have the transcription is up on like a little prompter, and so you
oh,
can read this English if they're doing it in language, or they usually do it in language. So if it's Italian, they're going to give you the transcription. So you're just kind of going between watching the action on stage and watching what they're saying.
well, isn't that something?
Yeah. Even in English, just because English, even if it's English can be really difficult to sing in, so that it's clear. So they still have the transcription, and I mean they give you a synopsis of it. You go to the opera, they have like a little program, sees a booklet, and they break down each act and scene in terms of what's going on, so you can understand the action. And after a while, you can kind of pull it together yourself. When you see it, you're like, oh, this is getting ready to happen or whatever. So yeah,
So, outside of that, you have new music out, right?
I do. I do. So yeah, so in addition to debuting the Opera Soul Experience, I released my first EP um on September 1st as well. And so it's a 4-song EP with a medley and essentially three original pieces that I wrote and executive produced the EP. And so one of the songs, well, all of the songs are operatic in some way. I mean, that's the whole point. It's kind of a byproduct of the concert because the concert was the main thing. I had this idea to do a live performance, live concert, and but I didn't have any original music to go with the sound that I was talking about. So I was like, we're gonna have to go. I need to write. We need to go and find out what the sound is like. And so when I started doing that, I was going to the studio to do it. Because you know what happened? That song idea, you kind of put it on your phone, you go into the studio, demo it up. And then, my friend was like, you should just release this as an EP. Like do it live on a concert, but you should release it too. And I was like, okay. So now we're doing a concert and a CD. Okay. So I just started writing these songs, and one of the main components was to have something operatic on all of them. And I mean, the sound is still developing. I'm still developing the sound. I can't necessarily say this the EP is indicative of what the full sound of Opera
Okay.
Soul is, because it definitely has a lot of rock elements and a lot more hip hop than I saw myself doing. But once you start writing a song, you have an idea, it kind of just takes on a life of its own.
Right.
And if you're really going to be integral to the music, you just have to go where the music leads you. And so that's where it was leading me. It kept leading me to this and to that. So I was like, I'm just gonna follow it. I'm not gonna buck it. I'm just gonna follow and let it be what it is. So yeah, one of the songs actually has an aria. Henry Purcell is a composer, and he did an opera based off of Dido and Aeneas. And the probably the most famous aria from the opera is "When I Am Laid in Earth," famously performed by Jesse Norman. And I I don't even remember how I got the idea for the song. I just knew that what was coming to me was a song about remember me, and the kind of the chorus of that aria is remember me, um, don't forget my fate, because they're dying when the aria is being performed, the character's dying, and that's what part of what they say. And it was my idea was about Breonna Taylor in terms of just remembering her, but not remembering the fate, which is the way
What
she
happened
died,
to her? Yeah.
which was really, really tragic and completely
Right.
unnecessary. But she seemed like such a light, I mean, and all of the shooting deaths at the hand of the police that we've experienced and heard about, her seemed to be just the most heartbreaking. And everybody didn't get a special about them being shot or being
Okay.
killed at the hands of the police. Everybody didn't get a special. And I think it was a 2020 did like a 2 hour special on her. And me and Christopher watched it, and it just made it even worse because you found out so much about her and just where she was in her life, how much support she had and her family and her mother, and just that she simply was laying in the bed sleeping. That's all she was doing. She didn't talk back to the police, be difficult with the police. She essentially didn't do anything. She was suspected, but nothing was ever proven, and she just died. And so I just was looking at her and I was like, she could be any of us. She could be Breonna Taylor. We are Breonna Taylor. I was like, I'm Breonna Taylor. I was like, that was me. That was me and you. Like Christopher and I, before we got married, I was like, that was me. That was me figuring out this one what to do. Got a boo. We're doing good. We're getting ready to get married. That's been all of us. And so I was like, yeah, this is the song. This is somebody had asked me a question when I was developing the music, what my commentary was going to be or how I was going to insert or lend some sort of response to everything that's been going on. to in our community, to our community, what was I going to do? How was I going to say something? And I didn't know at the time. And this song just downloaded right into me. And so I was like, that's it. So I was like, we're going to connect the aria to this song. And that's how it's gonna be Brianna's Ode. That's what I decided to name it. So yeah. So to me, that's like my favorite song on the CD. Just because it has an aria at the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So it's so funny because when people listen to it at the beginning, they're like, I don't know anything about an aria. And I was like, just keep listening. But I had to do it. I had to put the aria there in order for the song to make sense.
Makes sense. Yes.
So yeah, to me, that's the bop of the CD. That's the bop of the album.
So I always ask this question to my people. What is something that people will be surprised about you? Something you like, something you don't like?
They would be surprised to know? I don't know. Just people who don't know me or people who do know me?
Either or.
I mean, everyone who knows me, well, I can't say that necessarily everyone who knows me knows this, but I cook. I can cook really good. It's so funny because one of my friends, she was helping me out in the concert and she came over to the house. She was like helping style me and stuff. And I had just finished dinner. She came in and she was just like, you cook, Kisma? I mean, we hadn't really seen each other in a long time, since like high school. And so I was just like, I cook. And I just left it at that. So I looked at Christopher's face and I could tell he wanted to go in real quick. Like, does she cook? Oh, it just
right. Really like, go ahead and toot the horn.
And toot, okay. He would have a real moment. But yeah, probably in a different life, if I had to pick another profession, it would probably be a chef.
Wow.
In terms of just, what I used to view as being artistic as well. I see a cook and a chef as artistic stuff because I mean, you're always putting stuff together.
Yeah.
You're always, whether it's not just necessarily how you present the food, but it's just like how you put it together literally. The flavor profiles and all of it is just really artfully done to me. But yeah, I mean, that's the only other thing I feel like I've been doing all my life to really be as good in as I am this. So yeah, so
wow.
Chris was like, I think you should go on Master Chef. I was like, no, we didn't say no all that. We didn't say all that.
But they were just here recently, wasn't they?
I don't know. I watched the show.
Somebody just posted that they went to the show, the Master Chef.
The audition. I don't know. I just watched the show. I love his shows. I watched just about all of the Gordon Ramsay shows. I just like cooking shows in general. So I'm a total foodie. When it comes to like food, I like to cook it. I can be kind of really particular about food. And that's probably because I cook. So I'm just like, my palate is really, it's a good palate. It hasn't been spoiled. My mom never let me do like a lot of processed food. She never let me have a lot of sugar as a child. We didn't do a lot of like eating out and stuff. Like when we did, she's a single mom. We had a couple Arby's and McDonald's runs, but for the most part, I come from a cooking family. Okay. So that's it. So yeah, that's I think people will be surprised to know that I cook. But after so much conversation, people be like, you sound like you cook. Yeah, I do.
Wow. Well, more power to you, because this one right here.
I like it. I mean, cooking can relax me at times, so just going through the motions of like,
I think my brain never stops. And so my focus be doing 10 things at one time.
Okay.
So I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put this on, did this. Oh shoot, I was supposed to be in here doing. Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, like I challenge myself there in the kitchen sometimes. So I'm like, I'm gonna cook 3-4 things at a time. I'm just doing this right here. Cause like, the reality is like, that's how they are in restaurants. If you're a line cook, yes. Like, so much simultaneous stuff going on. You just have to be one of those kind of, dual
I
brain
think I
persons.
purposely
Hearing,
said to
yeah.
myself, this is not what I want. So like my mom, I remember her like giving us our own little cookbooks when we were younger.
Oh wow.
And like a Saturday, you get up, you do pancakes,
Yeah.
do all of these things. And I was like, me being in this kitchen is keeping me from doing something else. So yeah,
I
y'all gonna keep this. I'm going out here. So I do,
ain't gonna be in this kitchen. Not no,
no,
I'm
I
not gonna do
don't.
it.
I don't.
Yes, that's my mom. My mom collects cookbooks. She always has. And yeah, I mean, my mom, yeah, her, my grandmother, my aunts, they all cook on both sides of my family. My father's sisters, they cook. And but yeah, my mom had cookbooks for days, McCall cookbook, all the cookbooks. And I was really independent as a child. Like by 8 years old, I was like ready to learn how to cook. I wanted to learn how to cook so badly. And yeah, but yeah, I just feel like the instincts of cooking, I just have them, about
So I
no.
bought two of the. I think his name Darius Cooks.
Oh yeah.
I
He was
bought
like
two of those, right?
internet sensation, like a viral sensation.
Yes,
Because
I
he's
bought two
funny
of them.
too. He's
Two,
funny.
and I have not opened it yet.
I
My whole
know.
point.
Oh, that's hilarious. See, and that's why I love the holidays because it's all about the food. So I'm always excited. And it's been a thing because when we first got married, like I would cook so much food. Chris would be like, "Who is you cooking for?" And I was like, "Babe, you gotta understand, I'm used to a big family and cooking. I just grew up with just pans and pans of food. So I don't know. To me, holidays is just a whole buffet of
That is
food, even if
buffet,
it's just
yeah.
two people. That's to me what a holiday is. So, but I have curtailed myself, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But yeah, I mean, I still get very ambitious around the holidays when it comes to cooking.
That's
That's like
my
the
husband.
ultimate
He's
outlet
the
for me.
one that's we made so much food last year. It's embarrassing. And they had takeouts and we still had,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, we like, babe,
Oh
we
man.
cannot do this.
We
This
can't
we
do it. I
cannot do.
listen.
Oh my
I feel
gosh.
I completely understand. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard though. It's just that's when it's a cultural thing. So yeah, it's hard. But yeah, I think people would like or my ideal holiday as it relates to like cooking is to be able to host one of the major holidays. So
Yeah,
that's where I'm going. Like to host it and cook the whole thing for like everybody. That's like
the
the
main thing
perfect
now.
yes. Like, oh,
Yes.
one day I'm gonna do that. It's gonna be all on me and it's gonna be perfect.
That sounds like, I know in our family when we were all gathering at one point, it was somebody would host Thanksgiving. And it was potluck.
All
They would
right.
do like the main dishes and then everybody
Yeah.
else would bring
Doing your
something.
side. Mm-hmm.
Now that my brother is in the South, so my sister and I, we flip-flop holidays. So Thanksgiving is at her house and Christmas was supposed to be at mine. But we're gonna get back to that one day. We're gonna get back to being able to really enjoy the love that you put into your food. And they'll be listening to the opera while
Yeah, and while you're cooking in the
while
kitchen.
you're
Yes.
cooking, you're listening to
Yes.
opera. And so it was something else I wanted to ask you about. Hmm, what was it? So with your children, have they started showing
Singing?
any signs?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. That's just on them. It just is. Christopher is artistically gifted. He's a creative in his own right. And between the two of us, yeah, at least one of our children were bound to be a creative. And so At this point, it's both of them. Nala, our oldest, she'll be 4 in January. I remember she was singing at like 4 months old. And it was a one situation. It was at night. I think I was putting her to sleep and I was humming something. And she harmonized with me. And I, as a singer and a mom, I didn't want to believe that I heard what I heard because it's like she's 4 months old. Like I don't want to be that mom. Like girl, she was singing. Girl. I don't want to be that mom. I'd rather someone else say, "Yeah, did you hear this?" And so Christopher was there, and so he was like, "Yeah, she did harmonize with you."
Yes,
And
right.
I was like, I didn't want to be the one to say she did it, but it sounded like she was trying to sing. And so and it just happened and just really natural like that. And so from there, naturally she sees me singing. She sees video of me singing. Since that time, I've done tons of concerts and she's watched me. And so, yeah, she just gravitates towards music and really towards instruments. So, like, we're doing instrument sounds. So she knows all the sounds of the instruments.
Hmm.
She wants to play the keyboard. I have a keyboard at the house. She wants to play that. She wants to play the big guitar. We got a guitar at the house. We bought her own ukulele, and she wants to play it. And so that it just
Wow,
is what
you
it
can't
is. So I
help it.
said, no, can't help it. And so, so sometimes they sing together. We were watching Family Feud, and at the end of Family Feud, when the company slogan song comes on, they have the Georgia Peach, I think. It says made in Georgia. And they sing it. So, I'm just like, they're always singing here, there, the nursery rhymes here. They have a playlist, they know all the songs. It's just, they sang it and they just 2 and 4 years old.
Wow.
So when kids, the children of creatives, I'm never surprised at that. I'm just because essentially it's a spiritual, it's a generational thing. It's a generational gifting that follows. And so if anything, I said if they do that, then I will support them. I don't
Support
want to
them.
make them do it. I don't want to say do it, but if she's so showing signs that she's interested, then yeah. So I told Christopher, yeah, as soon as she turns 5, we could do piano lessons and guitar lessons. She's already dancing and jumping all over the place. I'm ready to have her in gymnastics so that I can have an outlet for her physicality,
That's
and
right.
then she can still do musical, so we can balance the two. Um, but yeah, they're going to be creatives now. Whether they decide to do it professionally, I don't know. At this rate, with a mom like me, I'm always going to look for opportunities for them to do, and so who knows what could happen with that. So, but yeah, you can't run from what you are. You can't run from it.
Yeah, that is definitely it. Um, I think that was, I can't even remember. But I'm so grateful again tonight that you were able, and Chris was able to, with his schedule and everything, to really be able to talk to you. I have a whole new outlook, not only just you, but opera itself, to out and really look into it for myself to experience it, the real opera, not what I
Yeah,
thought was
like
opera.
yeah. And if there was ever a time for people to get engaged in opera, especially from our communities, now is the time because there's really a renaissance. A lot of firsts are happening, and the music that's being presented on these stages really represents what a lot of our generation and the generations that are coming up behind us, what they know. It sounds like what you heard on the radio, but it's just done with greater musicality and excellence. So yes, get into opera. Yes. So I would
So
just say go to Michigan Opera Theater website and just look around, see what they're offering. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra, they offer some operatic things as well. And just get into that community. There's a lot of great things. The DSO they were bringing Nas here. There was plans, and I'm not sure what's still happening, but for Wu-Tang to be presented with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra. I mean, like what? Like Wu-Tang and the DSO? But you know, they understand what needs to happen in order to kind of get people there.
Right. To
So
get people into it. So how do they tell people how to follow you, how to get your music? So my people can support you.
yes, so you can visit my website, kismajordan.com. It's a one-stop shop. You can get the CD there. You buy the EP. You can, look at most of my latest videos. All of my social media handles are Kisma J Music. You can also access all of those from my website. So you can get my YouTube, my Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have a Pinterest page as well. And you can get to access all of that from kismajordan.com. I'm also going to be presenting an acoustic presentation of the Opera Soul experience at the top of the year, which is going to be really great. So we're going to kind of, deconstruct it a little bit, and still make some really great music just in an acoustical setting. And so, yeah, check me out.
I would definitely let people know. Again, like and share, tag someone. This was a great information. Of course, we're always winning. So again, give my love to Chris, kiss the babies
Yes.
for me. Again, thank you again. And even in the top of the year, once you get everything set, if you want to come back on the show again, I would definitely love to have you on. And again, enjoy the rest of your evening because it's showing up getting late.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. No problem at all. Enjoy yourself.
You too. Take care.
All
Good night,
right.
everybody.
Bye-bye.